friends, we are back with our second episode on netting. In our first episode, we talked about flat netting, and we worked on this beautiful, simple flat netting piece that you can use as a bracelet. This is the sample we worked on in the video, and it is made with 2 color of size 8 beads. You can see it's flat and flexible and has that beautiful netting shape with the open spaces and the shared beads. Today we're going to talk about tubular netting, which has the same cool netting shape with the open spaces and the shared beads, but it's in a circular pattern, as you can see with this here. This is a wonderful tube. You can use it as a bracelet. You can use it as a necklace. It works up fairly quickly, and I have in the description of this video, you'll see a link where it will give you a quick pattern to set up your tubular netting so that it's easier for you to look at and see to set it up as opposed to trying to follow along here on the video. Today we're also going to use the 2 colors of size 8 beads to make the tubular netting so that it's a little easier on the camera. So please get a comfortable piece of thread. I use Fireline, and for this, usually whenever I'm using size 8 beads, I'll use an 8-pound Fireline. Unfortunately, I'm out of 8 pounds, so I'm using 6. You know, both is good, but I think for wearability, the thicker the thread you can get through your beads is probably more what you're going to want to use, as long as it's giving you the drape that you need. And if you're not using crystals or anything with a sharp edge, that's going to eventually wear out the thread. This particular pattern being tubular rope like this with no crystals, we can go with a slightly thinner thread without a problem. Well, on your thread, you're going to needle on the shared colored bead, 2 of the main color beads, a shared color bead, 2 main color, a shared color bead, and 2 main color. So your needle will look like this. This is very similar to the flat netting pattern. We're going to use the same bead count just so that you are more comfortable and aware of it. Please use a comfortable length of thread that you can pull through on one arm pull just to get yourself started. And if you're not used to this stitch, it's always harder to learn a stitch when you're also combating tangles and knots in your thread. I don't want you to give up. This is such an awesome and fun stitch to use, especially for roped patterns. So once you get them all on down to the bottom of your thread, leave yourself about 5 or 6 inches here at the end for your tail. Go back through the beads in the same direction, plus 1, that's going to be the contrasting color bead. Pull that through and you'll make a really nice little ring just like this. Now, I would say the hardest part of tubular netting is the setup. So you have to keep your beads maybe flat or keep them pressed together in your fingers like this so that you can keep them flat. It just makes it easier to see where you're going and which direction so that you can find the right bead to hook into. Just like with the flat, every time we add an alternate color bead, we're going to add one, and then we're going to share an alternate color bead from a previous round. So it's important to know kind of which direction you're going in. So right now my thread is coming out in this direction of that alternate color bead. So this is the direction I'm going to bead in. If that direction doesn't work for you, simply flip your piece around and now you can go this way. Sometimes going left or right makes it easier for whether or not you're left or right-handed. Okay, so you're going to, just like before on the flat netting, you're going to do 2 main color, 1 alternate, 2 main color. Every stitch is going to look like this on your beads, on your needle. Then you find the very next alternate color bead in our original ring. and we're going to pull through. Now I kind of have what looks almost like a little figure 8. Okay, add that to your needle again. 2 main color, 1 alternate, 2 main color. I'm going to rotate around my original circle. I know that this is the part that I just added, and I want to keep that in mind, at least until I get my rope set up. And I'm going to go into the next alternate color bead. Okay. And I'm going to rotate that circle around again. I'm now going into the alternate color bead that has my tail coming out of it. That's where I started from. This is also where I'm going to have to step up to the next row of beads. So I'm going to add my 2, 1, 2. I'm going to go through that alternate color bead, the 2 main color beads that I added when I just started this row, and the alternate color at the tip of it. Ah, somehow looped my mouse there. There we go. Okay. So now my original ring is here in the middle. These 3 alternate color beads, here's the middle ring. And the pieces that I just added are these little bubbles here out to the side. Doesn't so much look like a tube yet, but this is the step that's going to form the tube and begin creating your rope. So keep in mind the direction that you're going, add the beads that you're going to put on every stitch, 2, 1, 2, and hook onto this next alternate color bead that's pointing out. It's really far away. It's like way over here. We're going to go needle into that. Okay, and you see the beadwork starts to cup upwards. That's what we want. Add your 2, 1, 2 again, and come over to this alternate color bead way over here. And when I pull that through, you can see that it is really starting to cup upwards, right? Okay, that was 2 stitches. I know on my 3rd stitch, I gotta move this little tail here. Move that tail. I know that on my 3rd stitch, I'm also going to have to step up to the next row. So we're gonna do our 2, 1, 2. I know that this is the alternate color bead from my last row that I need to go into. I'm also going to catch the 2 seed beads and the 1 alternate color bead that I just started this row with. This is the step up. And the step up happens in a lot of different bead weaving stitches. It is how we end one row and immediately begin the next row. And now you see how this, if I pull snugly, it's really cupping upwards. And I can see that it is beginning to form the rope shape. This tail is going to get in your way and be the bane of your existence, so try to keep it hooked in between your fingers and hold on to the little cup of beads like this, where you have easy access to the alternate color beads. And this will help your rope stitching get a little bit smoother. We're going to add our 2, 1, 2, and find that next alternate color bead. Always pull snugly between each stitch. That'll help your beads to stand up into the right position and make sure that you don't have any weak or loose areas or thread gaps showing. And you're going to continue that all the way around. I did 2 stitches, so I know my next one is the step up. I add the beads just like I normally would. I find that alternate color bead down here. I go through him, the 2 seed beads and the alternate color bead from the first part of this row and pull through. So what you should see at the top of every row is kind of like 3 points. They are going to rotate around this circle, but the 3 points have the alternate color bead at the very tip of them. And then you can see down here, kind of sunken, is the alternate color bead that was the point on our last row. So you repeat this process over and over for the entire length of what you want your bracelet or necklace rope to be. After doing 2 stitches, just like this, we do the step up, like that. Go to the alternate color bead and step up all the way through. Okay, we'll do one more round, and then I'll show you something else. All right. 2, 1, 2. Find the alternate color bead and pull through. Rotate my loop. 2, 1, 2. And pull through. That was my 2 stitches, so now I know I have to do a step up. And do 2, 1, 2. And then we're going to find that alternate color bead down here. Oops, I'm sorry, I went way too far down. This guy, and I'm going to go through his seed beads and the alternate color bead and pull him through. Now you see my rope is starting to form. What I really like about the netted rope like this, it adds some thickness and it keeps its nice round hollow shape when you're wearing it. It doesn't collapse. Now, if you wanted to have a thicker rope, this is done with size 11 beads. If you wanted to have a thicker rope, you could do like 5 or 7 rounds per turnaround per row. You will get a fatter, thicker rope, but it might not keep its total tubular structure like this. It may collapse and make more just kind of like a flat rope. Still looks really, really cool, but the more rounds you make and the thicker that it gets, the more flimsy it's going to get. You can work around that by putting something into the middle of the tube or using some bead wire, and we'll go into that in some other episodes. But for today, we're just going to do the 3 round so that it keeps its shape. You also notice here, I simply flipped the colors. I wanted to have a little bit of an accent. So instead of doing my main color with the accent color as the centerpiece, I did it opposite. I did the accent color with the main color as the centerpiece. And I wanted to have that an equal distance along the size of the rope. So if you're wanting to do something similar like that, the way you can count the spaces to make sure that it is equal is lay your rope flat on the table and find one of the cross centerpieces, one of the shared beads that makes the X. Just follow that row all the way down and count out how many cross pieces you have. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Okay, right here is 11. So if I want to have another silver area that's equal distance on this end of the rope, I have to count my number of cross pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I know that this next row that I add on here should be this silver area. And then I can have those equally spaced across the length of my rope. So go ahead and make your rope as long as you need it to be, and come on back to see the episode 3 of our netting series. We're going to talk about embellishing both the flat netting and the tubular netting, how we can embellish it as an add-on when the piece has already been made, Also how to embellish it as we're making it. So we're going to go through 2 different ways of embellishing the netting. And then in the 4th episode, we're going to talk about warping the net. And that is where we're going to use some different size beads while creating the net to make it change shape and size while we're making it. So I hope you like and subscribe this episode, and we'll have some more series out for you soon. Enjoy beading. Bye.